Hey there, Earth signs, and welcome to the middle of August. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Let's see what the universe wants you to know. Nice. So you've got power, playfulness, and magic. Beautiful. Let's see what else folds. Some heavy lifting that's been done. Coming back to self with the page. And a bit of an ongoing balancing act, I feel. So with the present, got really moving forward with your heart as the kind of priority. That really flows on from playfulness quite well. Wow. Beautiful. Got the star in the heart of the reading. Air signs had that too, so that's pretty crazy odds. That tends to wipe away negativity, but I'm not really seeing any negativity anyway. These three up the top are really quite powerful. And then we've got your old favourite, the Page of Swords, which is about continuing that journey, which it's been a kind of a thread for you Earth signs of really speaking your voice. Oops, upside down. We've got the Wheel of Fortune with that magic. So things might be getting, I feel like things are going to be getting a bit more interesting for you. And that's a stunning card. We've got the Nine of Cups, so things will start moving into fulfillment. Finishing on a bit of a deficiency card. I shouldn't say that, but it's a little bit of a anxiety card. So we'll have a look how that unfolds. But beautiful reading so far. On the horizon that's behind you, there's been an activation of power with this dragon card. So if you've been really kind of, putting your own authentic self forward, I think that there's been maybe a bit of a disruption in terms of knowing that, just discovering that something you're carrying is just actually too bloody heavy. Either it's too heavy for some of you, or for others, it's heavy, but you're kind of on the last legs and it's almost going to shift and change. I say that because further down we've got the Temperance card here, which is showing a bit of movement or rebalancing going on. But not to jump ahead, but I just feel like this card can augur for some a sense of oppression and like, holy shit, I'm carrying something too heavy, or at least putting too much pressure on yourself about something that doesn't need that much pressure. But for others, it's not like you have to drop it, but it's just kind of honoring that it's been a bit of a struggle. And but as you can see in this card, there's a house there, so a sense of almost being home. And with this power card, I think it's worth noting that putting yourself first, being a bit more selfish, allowing yourself to be a tinge more narcissistic has been useful, probably in kind of knowing your limits as well, and sort of calling a spade around that, rather than it kind of just either you're self-imploding on the inside, or there's a bit of passive aggressiveness or tension that's being kind of osmotically transmitted to those around you. So either of those two are the ends of the extreme, but I feel like you've finally found a bit more of a midpoint in terms of going, hey, I can't do this all on my own, and also so opening up and sharing it with others, that the load has been quite heavy, and not denying that knowledge to yourself, or not really like avoiding that within. So this card's showing there's kind of been a bit of a mix, finding that middle point, that golden mean that I think sages have called it, where you're not necessarily holding everything close to your heart and ignoring the others around you, but you're not throwing it on people either. So there's a kind of a nice combination of acknowledging and maybe reparenting some of those feelings inside that are overwhelmed, are feeling helpless, are feeling frustrated, but not blaming others for that, and coming into a more sublime sense of sharing, but not kind of throwing on, if that makes sense. We'll see how that transforms. But a lot of the hard work has been done, because now you're being asked to come into this playfulness. What does that look like for you, playfulness? Maybe it's something you haven't really felt for a while, and it might feel a bit alien or irresponsible, or you don't really want to give that to yourself because, you know, you're holding so much, or you've been holding so much. Well, this is saying it's actually what you need to focus on now, and it's not irresponsible. Being a very responsible earth sign as you are, playfulness can get coined as something just as little kids do. But we all know that, and you know deep down, that playfulness is actually what makes life sweet and what all the hard work is for. And so sometimes we just fill our lives with just the work and we forget why we're working. So really coming into that sense of meaning for you. So the Knight of Cups here is showing really finding what inspires you and going towards it and valuing it. And wearing your heart on your sleeve a little bit more around that, sharing that with others. It's okay to value something, but if you don't really share it with those around you, they're not psychic, you know, so they're not really gonna know what you're wanting or needing to move towards. So it's up to you to value it within yourself and then share that with others. I feel like your readings lately have been about the family unit or your close circle, and really making sure that they're kind of in tune with where you're at. Yeah, so we've got the Star in the middle, which is incredible card. It's just basically showing that there's hope and a natural intelligence that's at work here. And it's really asking, with that playfulness, for you to get into alignment with that natural intelligence and to not feel like you're kind of spearheading everything yourself and that you're in total control. Because you're not, I'm not, no one is. And that's a good thing, because we only have so much power and influence and actual intelligence and awareness. So there is a bigger cosmic energy that's at play here, and for you to trust that, surrender into that, have faith in that. It has gotten you this far. Sure, you've done a lot of the hard work, you've got to give credit to yourself for that, but the universe has met you halfway or more. And so yeah, just really coming back into that cosmic flow. In this card, the woman's got the jugs, and she's just playing with the different flow of energy and letting it go through her. So rather than it kind of getting locked up in the ego, that the ego wants to be in control and the ego did everything, it's kind of acknowledging that there is actually this cosmic flow of energy running through us. And if we get out of the way, aka playfulness, good things manifest, doors open, perspectives come, but you need to soften into that joy a bit more. The Page of Swords underneath is showing it's another kind of childlike card. It's pure air, and pure air can be frank, candid, abrupt. So it's kind of saying that, yeah, with that playfulness, when you step into that, it might be a tendency to want to just say it how it is to everyone. I'm kind of getting the sense, usually with this card, I kind of steer towards people needing to speak their truth more, but I'm sort of feeling like I need to tell you to be a little bit more careful with your words and to not just throw them out there. For some of you, maybe it's about finding your truth and just making sure you wrap it in a way that's not going to get other people's defenses and their prickles raised. So we'll see what the clarity cards is about that, to be a bit more specific. But But yeah, there's a childlike naivety to that card that sometimes can rock the boat a little bit too much. So with the future, you've got magic coming in. It's quite a mysterious, dark image here. The moon's a very prominent signal. So magic is never fully exposed. It's always on the fringes of our world and the world where everything comes from. So I feel like just, you know, the energy with this card is to say, you're not going to see it all, you're not going to experience it all, you're going to just feel the edges of it. But lean into that, lean into the darkness, lean into the uncertainty, lean into the mystery. And I think the teaching or guidance of this card is that when you're in that sense of play, you're going to do this more naturally. If you're in a sense of like organization, control, hyper responsibility, you're going to miss this subtle energy. So yeah, allow yourself to dwell in that twilight space a little bit more between knowing and not knowing. From there is going to flow a lot of shifts and changes, and it's a pretty deep card, major arcana card. The Wheel of Fortune is about a karmic shift. So it's just showing that there's, even though it doesn't always feel like it, you might feel stagnated on some level, there is actually a really deep movement into more fulfillment with the Nine of Cups here, and a sense of coming home or finding a home inside of yourself, or a literal home. But the Nine of Cups is very much about things just really coming together in a happy, beautiful way. But to bring that in further, you need to sit in what's possible. So we're magnets, and if you're in a sense of confusion all the time, or striving, or working really hard, then you're going to kind of attract more of that. So it's really about finding small spaces and times when you can just do a little thought experiment and just ask yourself, if I had a magic wand, how would I want everything to be? How would it feel to be in that scenario? And just dip into that a little bit. It can really shift your energy. Another beautiful thing that I've been experimenting with lately when my mind is getting in a bit of a gutter is, I know you've heard it all before, you know, list a few things you're grateful for, but oh God, it's powerful when you just literally dip in and go, you know, what am I truly grateful for right now? And just let your mind just rattle off, and your heart just rattle off things, and before you know it, your brain chemistry's changed and you're just in a more abundant space. And that's what this card is. It's feeling abundant on an emotional level, and you're going to magnetize more of it from there. That's going to really help combat the Five, or mitigate or smooth over the Five of Pentacles here, which is a card of lack and a sense of perceived poverty and just sense of deficiency. So we'll see what the clarity card says about that. But yeah, beautiful reading. You've got some really strong positive things here that I'm really excited about for you. Just want to kind of get a bit more detail on some of them. So with that print, that Knight of Cups, we've got the Six of Discs, and this card is showing that you really do have a lot of things in balance, even though you might not always feel that. So it's a card of things just really being in harmony on a material level. So it's almost like you might need to acknowledge that to let yourself dip into this playfulness. So that can be just a bit of a stock take on what is working in your life. And I'm sure there's a lot of things working. Even though you have these big question marks that might be there about the future, there's still a lot of things working. I sometimes just think about all the different things going on inside of my body that allow all my organs to work and communicate with each other, and just how incredible that is. And it just gets me into that gratitude state. So the Star card, the Devil, interesting. Where do you feel restricted? Where do you feel constrained? Where do you feel inhibited? And how much of that lockedness can be undone with the key in your hand? That's the kind of overarching vibe with the devil, is that these people trapped in here are there because of their own self-denial. They're choosing to be there, and sometimes that's because they're not choosing anything at all, and so they're just going with the flow maybe too much. And I feel that even though this card is saying open up to the cosmic flow and let it come through you, I feel like the devil card is saying you still need to take some responsibility for your circumstances, and that's only going to give you more power. Responsibility equals power. When we're blaming others or feeling like the universe is doing this to us, it diminishes our power, and that's when the devil has us in his grip. So yeah, it's a bit of a untanglement and taking that responsibility. And it's not the kind of responsibility of like self-flagellation or self-blame or feeling guilty. It's just owning that you can shift out of this. But yeah, trust that you don't need to have all the answers. I think that's what this card is saying. Sometimes we keep ourselves locked because we don't actually have the full vision of how to get out. But this is just saying start with small, everyday steps to try and uninhibit yourself, essentially. With the Page of Swords, that was that being careful with your words. We've got the Five of Wands, which is a card of conflict and strife. Traditionally in the deck, it's a group of young men fighting together, but when you actually unpack it more, they're play fighting. So I feel like this is sort of saying, you know, be careful with your words, but also just try not to take things too seriously. I think that's when words can be sharp, is when we take things too seriously. So really coming back to that playfulness energy. Doesn't mean you can't speak your truth, but try not to be passive aggressive for starters, because that's kind of like a bit of a self stalemate that you're in. And try not, on the other end of the spectrum, be too cutting and assertive with it. So finding that middle point where you're honouring your own needs, but you're not sort of being too extreme with them. It sort of reminds me back to this Temperance card of finding that middle ground with it. If there's conflict going on, you have what it takes to clear it up. You just need to be in touch with your truth and honourable in how you deliver it. With the Wheel of Fortune, we've got the Three of Cups, which is a beautiful abundance card. So it's really about letting yourself celebrate in the merriment of your achievements and with the connections with others. So this card's typically got three women sort of in a beautiful celebration together. So what do you need to celebrate coming up in the future? What can you celebrate? And just be a little bit more social, I think. That's going to help bring in, you know, some of this magic. And be social with people that are magic, that are lifting, that do lift you up and inspire you. With the Nine of Cups, we've got the Six of Swords. So it's just showing that there is this moving through troubled waters energy and finding more fulfillment here. And the Six of Swords isn't about always knowing what the end destination is, but just making sure your life is organised and letting yourself just be in the right place at the right time. So it is a card of problem solving or organising your life. So making sure that your life is organised doesn't mean you have to be hyper controlled and dutiful about it, but just giving room for enough organisation so you can dip into play and really let yourself kind of just move through these troubled waters that you might still feel like you dip back into from time to time. And lastly, the Five of Pentacles. Five of Swords, another five. Got quite a few there. I've got the Five of Wands here too. This card is all about letting yourself step back from something that you might be over-entangled with, or you might be trying to win. So it's about accepting defeat, which defeat for some reason, for a lot of people I think, creates a sense of failure. I actually love it. When this card comes up, I just go, oh yes, hands off the wheel. I just let myself fold back into the present moment, and I try not to worry or fret, which is very much about this card, about things and how they're going to work. So it's actually giving you permission to sign off from something and withdraw gracefully back into your own energy field. And you can always, and what helps with that is just trusting in that cosmic flow, which has helped you get to where you are now, and it's going to keep helping you. So yeah, beautiful reading, earth signs, power, playfulness and magic with a star in the middle. So yeah, lovely reading, really excited for you. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing if you've got any feedback of what happens. It'd be great to hear. And yeah, if you like this video, hit the like button, just means it gets to more people. Share it with others if you think they could use this at this time. And I will see you next time.